Hello guys and welcome back to O's on the Bowl. So these are my round 13 tips video. This is my round 13 tips video. So yeah, officially halfway through the season, which is pretty mental and it's gone really quickly, but now things have really shaped up and there's probably only 9 teams that I realistically say could make finals from here. It's basically top 9's decided, it's just who makes the 8 from here, but it should be a really interesting second half of the season. And sorry for being a bit of a later video Thursday night, but I've just been really busy lately, so hopefully next week can get them out a bit earlier and can also eventually get out those Melbourne vlogs at some point within the next few weeks. So 2 out of 7 Ollie's calls and 5 out of 7 tips. Not great, but not too bad either. So, as I said, 5 out of 7, bottom 39%, not a great round. Really, my tipping started off well, and since then it's just been horrible. First game, Brisbane-Essendon, got the tip right, but margin was nowhere near. I said 56, it was 18. Next game, Collingwood-Hawthorn. Collingwood smashed Hawthorn pretty comfortably. Then got Gold Coast Freo. Gee, I never know what Freo are going to do, and Gold Coast aren't a very consistent team either. In the wet, Gold Coast don't play great, so not too surprised Freo got the win there. And then got this tip pretty spot on. Said it would be a close game, but GWS would get over the line in a comeback win. They did get over the line in a comeback win. Then Adelaide absolutely smashed the Swans. And then St Kilda Melbourne on the Sunday. I was happy to get this tip wrong. The Saints actually played well for once. And then Geelong West Coast. Geelong won easily in the end. West Coast did put up a fight for a bit, but Geelong just overpowered them. And then Carlton, Northport and Bulldogs all had the bye. Moving on to my tips for the round. So first game, Thursday night, Marvel Stadium. Got the Bulldogs and the Hawks. It's been a while since there's been footy at Marvel. There was no games at Marvel last weekend, but this will be a massive game. Could go either way. Got Bulldogs 6 and 5 last week coming off the bye, but they've been in good form and probably better than 6 and 5, like the sides they've played. Then the Hawks 7 and 5 last week, lost to Collingwood by 51. They're experiencing a bit of a lump in form, coming off some not great performances, and really need to find their form and find their feet again and push for a finals campaign. Because right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they miss finals based on the way they're going. So this would be a really crucial match. The team that loses in a lot of strife, the team that wins, well, cements a pretty good position in the 8. So I think this could go either way. But I think the Bulldogs I feel like I have more trust in the Bulldogs, so I'm going to tip them to get up in this one by 11. And my oldest call, Ed Richards, has 25 plus disposals. Next game, got at the Adelaide Oval, Friday night, 7:40pm. Adelaide v Brisbane. This game as well. Probably all games this round are blockbusters, I would say, apart from like one. But this game could go either way. Adelaide record of 8 and 4 last week, beat Sydney by 90. They could not have played any better. Absolutely smashed the Swans. They just they were always on top all throughout the game, and at halftime you knew that it was going to be smashing. The Swans had no chance, and it was a really complete performance from the Crows. And then the Lions 9-1-2 beat Essendon by 18. Not their best performance, but that really describes the season. Not their best performance, but keep picking up wins. And they're 9-1-2, as in they're second on the ladder. And I still don't think they've played their best footy. Maybe against the Hawks, but still, nothing compared to what they played last year. So this could really go either way. At the Gabba, you think Lions easy, but Adelaide usually don't lose too often at home. So I'm going to tip Adelaide and probably an upset here to get up by 5. And my Ollie's call, both teams score 90 plus points. Next game, Saturday, MCG, 1:20pm. We've got Richmond v Sydney. Another game that could really go either way. Richmond record of 3-9, lost last week to GWS by 3. It was a great performance for the first 3 quarters. And then I don't think they did show up in the last quarter. Got 5 goals kicked on them to 1 point, which is pretty embarrassing, and it's pretty sad that they lost it from there. But it was a great performance for 3 quarters. But younger sides are pretty prone to doing that. Then you got the Swans, lost to Adelaide by 90 last week, record of 4-8. Yeah, this game could really go either way. At the MCG, Richmond historically play pretty well at the MCG. Last year they beat the Swans at the MCG, and Richmond were in a similar spot. Swans were top of the ladder, so don't know what could happen here, but I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to tip Richmond here. Tip them by 17, with my Oz call Sydney score less than 70 points. Next game, GMHBA Stadium, 4:15pm Saturday. Got Geelong v Gold Coast. Geelong record of 8-4 last week, beat West Coast by 43. West Coast put up a big fight for the first 3 quarters, but then Geelong got on top in that last quarter and ended up winning quite comfortably. But you'd expect them to win that, and they really did all that they needed to do, withstood West Coast's pressure, and then once West Coast got tired, capitalised and won easy. And then you got the Suns, 8-3, lost to Fremantle by 11. Yeah, the Suns, like, Freo, very up and down team. Suns, pretty up and down team. And in the wet, Suns don't play well in the wet, as you saw in one of the other games I lost this season, which was I can't remember actually. Oh, Brisbane at the Gabba. So yeah, they don't play great in the wet. Freo got on top of one of their weaknesses and won. So this game could go either way again, but at GMHBA Stadium, Geelong don't really lose there very often, so I think they should win pretty easy. Tip them by 34 points with my Ollie's call that Bailey Smith has 15 plus kicks. And then the Saturday night game, Manuka Oval, got GWS v Port Adelaide. GWS record of 7-5 last week, beat Richmond by 3. They're back on track after some not great performances. They were 5-5, but then 2 wins in a row. Wasn't a very convincing win, but they did it for Callum Ward. Pretty sad to see his career is basically over, but it was a good performance. He gave them a 3/4 time rev up and got them over the line by 3 points. So pretty good win from the Giants. Well, not a good win, a gutsy win from the Giants. As in, you'd expect them to win that much easy, but a win's a win, and they'll take it. And then you've got Port Adelaide coming off the bye, 4-8. Their form is not great, and this is a massive match. If they lose this, they actually might finish bottom 4, which is pretty disappointing. But I think GWS usually play pretty well at Manuka. I'm going to tip them by 46. And my odds called GWS score 10 for plus first half goals. Next game, Sunday afternoon. First ever AFL game in Bunbury, Hands Oval. North Melbourne, West Coast. North Melbourne, record of 2-1-8. Last week they had the bye. They are only up the Roos though. They had that draw against the Lions. And then obviously beat the Tigers. And then they played pretty decent against the Magpies. So, I would back them in as favourites, even though it's in Bunbury. It is their home game, home ground advantage. Probably not, because it's more of West Coast home ground, if anything, but you never know. And then West Coast record 1-11. Last week lost to Geelong by 43. If I was a West Coast fan, I'd be pretty happy with that performance. Although they lost by a bit in the end, the first 3 quarters, they were outstanding. Harley Reid played a good game. Elijah Hewitt played a good game. Oscar Allen back to his best. So it was pretty promising signs. And I think North should win this one, given they're the better team. I'm going to tip North by 22. With my Ollie's called Cam Zurhaar kicks 3 plus goals. And then on Sunday night at the MCG, 7:20pm, we've got the King's Birthday Eve match between Carlton and Essendon. Both teams up and down this season and really could go either way. Blues 4-7 coming off the bye. Before that, had a loss to the Giants. Wasn't a great performance, but also wasn't the best performance. It wasn't a great performance, but the Giants are a decent side, so you expect that. But they'll be looking to rebound and hopefully get their season back on track. Then you've got Essendon 6-5. Are they a 6 and 5 side? Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell. I would say they're probably more of a 4 or 5 win side, similar to the Blues, based on who they've played. But it was an okay performance against Brisbane. You'd be pretty happy with that. Away at the Gabba, only lost them by 18. This game could go either way, but I'm tipping the Blues to get up in this one by 8, with my Oz Cole, Walsh and Cripps combined for 2 or more goals. And then the last game of the round, got the big freeze match, Melbourne v Collingwood. Melbourne 5 and 7 with a record 5 and 7. Last week lost to St Kilda by 28. Not a great performance. 7 goals, 21. That is pretty disappointing if I'm a Melbourne fan. As in, some of them were like rush shots, especially towards the end, but still, they probably should have won. And Saints just were the better team in their goal kicking in the end. Then Collingwood 10-2 last week beat Hawthorn by 51. Outstanding performance from the Hawks. Against the Hawks. Could not have played any better. Now they're top of the ladder. Be looking to retain that position in this one, where I think they will. I'm going to tip them pretty comfortably by 59. My Oz called Jamie has 5+ scoring shot. So first up at Marvel tonight, got the Dogs v the Hawks. I think Dogs should get up in this one. Going in strong favourites, which is quite surprising, as in the Hawks haven't been great, but still think they'll be favourites. But I'm going to tip the Dogs in this one by a decent margin, 11. Then Adelaide, Brisbane, I reckon Adelaide will get up as favourites. Then Sydney, Richmond, I'm going to tip Richmond here in the upset. Geelong, Gold Coast, Geelong pretty strong favourites, I reckon they'll win. GWS, Port Adelaide, GWS pretty strong favourites for the win. And then last 3 games of the round, North, West Coast, North should get up. Carlton, Essendon, Blues should get up. And then Collingwood should pretty easily get up over Melbourne. So those are my tips for round 13, and the buys are St Kilda and Freo. Thanks for watching Oz on the Bowl. I hope you enjoyed another tips video. Yeah, so stay tuned for those footy vlogs. They should be out within the next couple of weeks when I find the time to edit them. But stay tuned for those, and thanks for watching. See you next time.